A really nice face. The water's boiling, Miss Hiller. Hi there. Sally Field saw more in Robin Williams than just the humorous guy on screen. Few people ever knew the side of him that she exposed when she talked about his actions on the set of Mrs. Doubtfire. What did she see that affected her for a long time? Prepare to see Robin Williams in a different light as we discover the tale behind the laughing. How they met. It wasn't at a lavish award event or glitzy Hollywood party that Sally Field first met Robin Williams. In 1993, it was on the set of Mrs. Doubtfire, which would go on to become one of the most cherished family comedies ever made. The film, which was directed by Chris Columbus, followed a father who, after a divorce, disguised himself as an elderly Scottish nanny in order to remain near his children. Sally Field played his ex-wife Miranda, who was attempting to move on and protect her kids, while Robin Williams played Daniel Hillard, who became the iconic Mrs. Doubtfire. Their initial meeting was more than simply a chance to meet two gifted performers. It marked the start of a deep emotional bond. There was a certain vibe from the time they entered the set together. Sally Field was doing more than just co-starring with a comic icon. Every time the camera rolled, she was entering scenes with someone who added a new spark. Williams has a reputation for being erratic. He would frequently do a few takes exactly as the script called for, then abruptly change direction without warning. He would begin to improvise, adding unexpected lines, humorous voices, and gestures that elevated even routine situations to incredible heights. Any co-star might have initially found it too much to handle. Sally Field, however, was no ordinary actress. She accepted the challenge with curiosity and grace. His wild improvisations were not something she attempted to match. Rather, she responded to them in real time, which made her character's answers seem more organic and grounded in the present. Together, their scenes were a dance between spontaneity and organization. Williams never did anything the same twice, so every take seemed new. Field was compelled to remain grounded and in the moment as a result, which enhanced her performance. The crew behind the camera was always adjusting to Robin's manner. During filming, director Chris Columbus even made the decision to use numerous cameras simultaneously. He was aware that it would be impossible to capture Robin's enchantment from just one perspective. He wanted to be certain that nothing was overlooked. As he observed this procedure, Field soon grew to admire Williamson's unwavering commitment to perfection, as well as his comic brilliance. He wasn't merely trying to steal the show or brag. He aimed for the movie to be touchingly hilarious, sincere, and honest. Although they were portraying a divorced couple, their genuine bond felt kind and considerate. Behind the comedy, Field saw a sensitive man who genuinely cared about people and the work they were doing together. Williams, in turn, praised Field's capacity to maintain composure, concentration, and emotional openness even when he was surprising her. This cooperation and their mutual recognition that they were narrating an important story helped to forge their bond. Their initial collaboration produced more than simply a fantastic film. Field would remember that experience for the rest of her life. Their encounter wasn't only a scheduled production moment. It was the start of a friendship built on mutual respect, trust, and humor. The day they stood across from one another, prepared to bring Mrs. Doubtfire to life, was the beginning of it all. The connection wasn't typical. It was something special and distinct. Let's examine what really made their relationship unique, and the reasons for the subtle enchantment that developed between Sally Field and Robin Williams' friendship. A relationship founded on mutual respect and inventiveness. Robin Williams wasn't simply another funny guy, and Sally Field knew that right from the start of their collaboration. He was something more profound. His quick wit and reckless energy were already widely known. His sincere dedication to acting, however, was what really caught her off guard. He wasn't only there to amuse himself. His work, conveying the story correctly, and being really present at all times were all very important to him. For someone like Field, who had always taken her craft seriously, that degree of devotion was particularly noteworthy. Robin had a routine when they began filming Mrs. Doubtfire. According to the script, he would perform 3 takes. He produced what was anticipated, stayed inside the lines, and did as instructed. Then, however, a miracle would occur. He would start playing after those 3 takes. He would let his imagination go wild. He would change the sentences, try out other voices, alter his expressions, and create moments that no one had recorded. The atmosphere on the set would shift. It came alive and electrified, as though anything might happen next. This kind of uncertainty could have been annoying to certain actors. However, it added something unique to the work for Sally Field. She started reacting to Robin's surprises in the moment rather than strictly following her lines. Her responses grew more authentic. Although they weren't always practiced, the feelings that emerged during the moments were genuine. It gave the characters a more relatable, human, and profound sense of connection. Because of Robin's infectious spirit, working on Miss S. Doubtfire felt more like a group experience than a job. He would arrive at work with a lot of ideas and an open mind. The cast and crew were able to express themselves creatively. Because of this sense of freedom, Field made no effort to match Robin's quickness or creativity. Rather, she provided equilibrium. Field remained grounded, but Robin frequently took things in unexpected directions. A strong chemistry was produced by that contrast. Their disparate but equally powerful styles combined to create layers of humor and emotion in their situations. The respect that existed between them was what really made their relationship unique. Sally was admired by Robin for her emotional candor and composed strength. She admired his courage and unbounded creativity. Each did not attempt to overshadow the other. All they did was collaborate, each pushing the other forward. Stealing the scene was not the goal. The goal was to convey the story in the most poignant and truthful manner possible. That same respect for one another persisted off camera. Even when the cameras weren't filming, Robin was always willing to provide a sympathetic ear or make someone laugh. He observed everyone around him and knew when they needed encouragement or a respite from the stress. Field also noticed this aspect of him, and it stuck with her. It demonstrated to her that beneath the flurry of personalities and jokes was a genuinely compassionate individual who wished to improve people's lives both on and off TV. Their relationship wasn't ostentatious or noisy. It was founded on trust, which was developed via instances of genuine cooperation and bravery. Because of their trust in one another, they were able to produce something truly memorable. That connection was the source of their scenes' tears, laughter, and reality. Beyond this unique bond, Sally Field observed another aspect of Robin Williams, something subdued beneath all the laughter. Nobody was really aware of this aspect of Robin. Years later, she made the decision to come forward and tell what she had witnessed. A friend with room-reading abilities. Sally Field was on the Miss S. Doubtfire set, doing her best to maintain her professionalism when she learned of her father's passing. She was at the camper next to the fictitious courtroom where the tearful divorce scene was being filmed. Her father was in a nursing facility after having a stroke years ago. She was deeply affected by his death, and despite her desire to cope with the agony, the loss was too great. She didn't cry in front of the cameras, though. Sally first made an effort to remain composed. She entered the set, took a seat in the camper by the courtroom, and concentrated on her role and the camera. She had established a professional career as a two-time Oscar winner, and she planned to get past her grief. She didn't cry. She simply made every effort to be the actress she had studied to be. But Robin Williams saw immediately that something was amiss. He wasn't merely making jokes or acting. He was closely observing Sally. Despite her efforts to conceal it, he sensed her anxiety and her sadness. He approached her right away, gently but firmly drew her away from the stage, and asked, "Are you okay?" She spoke candidly to him. The hardest thing she had uttered all day was, "My father just died." His concern was evident from what transpired next. He made no hesitation. He responded, "Oh my God, we need to get you out of here right now." Despite his busy schedule and numerous scenes to shoot as the lead actor and co-producer, he understood that Sally's welfare was the most important thing at that moment. Since Chris Columbus had swayed behind the camera as well, Robin spoke with him right away. On the moment, he was able to alter the shoot order. "Can we do those crossing shots in the courtroom today without Sally? Let's move things about." "She must leave," Williams said. Sally-related scenes were rescheduled or postponed. The rest of the cast and crew continued working, as she grieved and planned her burial. For the remainder of the day, they sped by me. Field remembered softly. It went beyond simple professional decency. Robin was able to look past the character and the script to the individual in need. He remained with her until she was able to get off the set and make plans with her brother and relatives. Few people ever saw this side of Robin in public, according to Sally. He was a very perceptive and sensitive person who recognized emotions and took action to keep others safe. Sally, who had known many celebrities and worked in Hollywood for decades, found it particularly heartwarming to witness such kindness from someone so well-liked and in the public eye. Robin's concerns extended beyond his performance and personal qualities. He was concerned about family, love, grief, and the world around him. When he noticed Sally's suffering, he made sure the whole cast stopped to help her. In retrospect, Sally has described the occasion as unforgettable. She recalls feeling numb as she sat in that camper, unsure of how she would face the rest of the day. Then, like a buddy stepping in to provide cover during a storm, Robin appeared. He didn't make a huge deal or talk loudly. There was no announcement, no speech. He was just aware of what to do. She will never forget that silent intervention, since it influenced her memory of him. It was one of the most authentic scenes on that set, even if it wasn't in the screenplay. Robin Williams was known for his vivacity, spontaneity, and comic genius. However, this instance exposed a more profound reality. He was a friend with the ability to read people. Without hesitation, he intervened when he sensed someone was in agony. His generosity, not his humor, was what was most noticeable. Sally has told this story with new eyes and a full heart years after they both departed Hollywood's major stage. I never shared this story before. She was merely recalling an honest human experience and wasn't looking for recognition. According to her, Robin's response was a side of him that people hardly ever saw. He truly cared. Sally was losing more than just her father, therefore it meant the world to her. She could grieve and have her own place. The movie Mrs. Doubtfire, which is renowned for its disguise and humor, is remembered for that particular sequence. However, there was genuine elegance in this behind-the-scenes occasion. Sally Field knew Robin Williams that day as a friend, a protector, and a person who cared about other people and took action. While the rest of the world knew him as a tornado of humor, Sally Field wasn't the only recipient of this generosity. Everyone in his vicinity heard it from Robin Williams. Let's explore another aspect of his character that showed you how giving and compassionate he really was. A legacy etched with compassion. It wasn't just his skill or vigor that made Robin Williams stand out. It was his heart. He was filled with kindness. Always, not only when the cameras were rolling. His compassionate disposition was not limited to Sally Field. His friendliness was sensed by all on the set, including the lighting crew, actors, and assistants. He recalled everyone's names, made time for them, inquired about their lives, and smiled when someone needed it. He never liked background noise. He treated individuals like persons. During lunch breaks, Robin would converse with the makeup artists, or grips, according to one crew member. He wanted to do it, not because he had to. He saw people. He gave them a sense of importance and visibility. Simply by being himself, he had a knack of making the atmosphere better. Robin frequently found a gentle way to cheer someone up when they were having a bad day. Whether it was by listening, laughing, or saying something nice, this empathy was not limited to the movie sets. In order to help the homeless, Robin Williams co-founded Comic Relief USA, a non-profit organization that has raised millions of dollars. He generously donated to causes that were important to him, such as organizations that support persons with disabilities, veteran services, and literacy initiatives. Yes, he was a star, but he also illuminated others with his limelight. He helped bring about change rather than merely advocating for it. And he did it in humility and sincerity. Sally Field has talked passionately about how Robin changed her life. Even after all these years, she still senses his presence. She once remarked, "He should be growing old like me." That statement carries sadness. The pain of missing a buddy who departed too soon is one of them. However, there is also the profound understanding of who he really was, a unique individual, with a radiant light that impacted everyone in his path. Their bond extended much beyond the movie. It developed into a lasting relationship based on consoling and humorous times. Sally thinks about the day Robin assisted her off set after her father passed away a lot. It wasn't a showy gesture for the press. That was just Robin being Robin. Observant, protective, and sensitive. He was more than just a comedian. He gave them a sense of security. This depth was also observed by others. Ben Stiller and Al Pacino, among others, saw that beneath the humor was a man with deep emotions. Because of his innate intuition, Robin was able to detect tension, excitement, and suffering, even when it was not spoken. Many people never saw that side of him, Sally Field once remarked. His kindness made people feel loved, his humor made them laugh, and he was able to read a room, sense someone's pain, and give something genuine in return. Sally Field remembers his legacy most clearly, because he was a master at connecting, not just through comedy but also through compassion. He left behind better people in every project he worked on, made sets more joyful, made strangers feel like friends, and made those close to him feel understood. Those who knew Robin Williams best, like Sally, remember the quiet strength he carried inside, a strength composed of kindness, sensitivity, and a willingness to uplift others without expecting anything in return. As a result, when people think of Robin Williams, they frequently recall the loud moments, The jokes, the characters, and the voices. That's the legacy he left behind, not only in the movie but in his life as well. But regrettably, nobody really saw the suffering that lay beneath Robin Williams' beautiful smile and boundless generosity. Let's now take you into some of the difficult and depressing aspects of his life that very few people ever experienced. The joy and energy that had once defined Robin Williams started to wane in the last chapter of his life. Beneath the jokes, the smiles, and the unbounded creativity, something painful was going on, something few saw, and even fewer understood. In the first few months of 2014, Robin Williams found himself in a place he rarely showed the world. Once unstoppable, his career had slowed down, and his most recent TV show, The Crazy Ones, had not had the impact he had hoped for, with low ratings and a cancellation after one season. For Robin, it was more than just a job ending. It was a devastating blow to someone who had spent a lifetime entertaining millions of people and living in the spotlight. He had recently gone through a second divorce, which left him emotionally scarred, and he had remarried in the hopes of finding new happiness with Susan Schneider. But adjusting to a new marriage while dealing with the grief of a failed one and a struggling career was not easy. It felt like the closing of a door he had always trusted would stay open. Then, in May 2014, Robin received a diagnosis of Parkinson's disease, which added even more pressure to a man whose entire identity was based on his quick thinking, physical movement, and sharp wit. He was a man caught between chapters, trying to find peace but feeling lost in the process. Trembling, stiffness, memory loss, and changes in mental health are common symptoms of Parkinson's disease. Robin was already struggling with anxiety and depression, and the diagnosis only made these feelings worse. He started to feel as though his options were dwindling and his world was getting smaller. But underneath it all was something even more devastating. The autopsy after Robin's death showed that he had not only been misdiagnosed, but had been suffering from a completely different illness, Lewy body dementia, a rare but aggressive brain disorder that affects thinking, memory, movement, and behavior. It can cause severe depression, paranoia, confusion, and hallucinations, and because the symptoms are often intermittent, it is difficult for even medical professionals to understand what is happening. Those closest to him started to notice changes, and Robin had no idea what was actually going on inside his head. He was trying to make sense of a storm without knowing why, and his hands shook. His memory occasionally failed him, and he became more withdrawn and anxious. For someone who had always relied on spontaneity and being in the moment, these symptoms felt like the ultimate betrayal. Despite this, Robin rarely talked about the pain he was in. He continued to smile and crack jokes in public. But behind those smiles was a man engaged in a silent and perplexing battle. Robin's decline was swift. The man who once brightened every room he entered started to fade away, behind a mist of despair and bewilderment as he struggled to continue working, staying active, and maintaining hope. However, the illness was unrelenting, and he started to isolate himself more and more, unsure of how to ask for help, or even what kind of help he needed. Fans, friends, and co-workers mourned the loss of a man who had brought so much joy. But for many, it was also the first time they truly understood how deeply he had been suffering. The tragic irony was evident when the world was shocked to learn that he had taken his own life in his California home on August 11, 2014. The outpouring of grief was immediate and global. The world was reminded that even the happiest people can be struggling by Robin Williams' death, which sparked crucial discussions about mental health, misdiagnosis, and the hidden struggles many people face. Robin Williams was one of the greatest sources of light and laughter, but his illness had robbed him of that very light from within. Even though his life ended tragically, his impact endures as a reminder to always look deeper, to check in with the people we love, and to never assume that a smile means everything is okay. For Sally Field and others who knew him well, it was more than just the loss of a friend. It was the painful realization that the kindness and empathy he gave so freely to others were rarely turned inward. Let's tell you how the world remembers Robin Williams: with laughter, love, and an unwavering sense of loss. Tributes, and the lasting legacy of laughter. Robin's death rocked the world to its foundation. It seemed unthinkable that someone who had brought so many joys could be gone in such a heartbreaking way. But even in his absence, people's love for him remained unwavering. Robin Williams' decline started quietly with signs that seemed disorganized and perplexing. But in the last months of his life, he was fighting something far more cruel and invisible than a medical diagnosis. His wife, Susan Schneider, later referred to the experience as the terrorist inside my husband's brain. For someone who had used his mind so rapidly and creatively for a lifetime, losing that control was indescribable. The very thing that had made him a genius, his brain, was turning against him. He would appear to be himself one minute, and then be confused, afraid, or mentally distant the next. One of the most heartwarming quotes came from his lifelong buddy, Christopher Reeve. Unlike many illnesses, this one didn't give much hope. There was no treatment, no understanding, and few moments of serenity. It wasn't just a physical fight, it was the gradual erasure of the guy he had always been. Robin was the one who cheered Reeves up after his life-changing accident that left him paralyzed. Disguised as a Russian doctor with a ridiculous accent, Robin stormed into the hospital room and told Reeve he was there to do an emergency rectal exam. Reeve laughed for the first time since the accident, and that gave him hope. It was Robin's way of saying, "You're still here," and it went beyond a simple joke. "You're still you." His departure was felt profoundly by colleagues throughout Hollywood, and many came out to express their grief and honor his life at movie premieres and industry gatherings after his passing. The tributes were not only professional, but also personal. So many people had been changed by Robin, both on and off screen. Actor Jeff Bridges spoke of losing a brilliant soul, someone whose energy touched everyone around him. Producer Harvey Weinstein was among those who honored his work and his spirit, promising to continue spreading the kind of joy Robin was known for. "He made us laugh hard," recalled Billy Crystal, who had been one of Robin's closest friends, in a heartfelt speech at the Emmy Awards that year. More accolades poured in from all around the entertainment industry. He was the best friend you could possibly hope to have whenever you saw him. Another lifelong friend, Whoopi Goldberg, put it simply, "It's like losing a piece of yourself." In a statement, former President Barack Obama even called Robin a nanny, a doctor, a genie, an airman, and everything in between. He was unique, though. Although he entered our lives as an alien, he ultimately touched every aspect of the human soul. The sadness went well beyond the movie sets and red carpets. Fan tributes from all around the world flooded online channels. It was like if they had lost a close friend to strangers who had never known Robin. One individual revealed that they learned of his passing while they were behind the wheel. The sad news of Robin Williams' passing, and felt so devastated that they had to stop. Such a response was not unusual. Through life's ups and downs, Robin had been a reassuring presence for many. Rainy days were the perfect time to watch his films. He was completely honest during his interviews, and even the darkest moods were brightened by his humor. It's not simply movies that Robin Williams left behind. His legacy endures in people's hearts because of the warmth, humor, and endearing characters he left behind. His voice as the genie in Aladdin served as many admirers' first exposure to his magic. The genie was more than just a joke. He exuded warmth, vitality, and heart, all made vivid by Robin's improvisation and sharp wit. People of all ages continued to smile at the memories and quote his lines. Robin exhibited his strong affection for his family in Miss S. Doubtfire by playing a character who would stop at nothing to be with his kids. He brought tears to people's eyes as much as laughter. Fans recall this part because of the profound emotional reality it conveyed, not just the comedy. Many recognized themselves or their loved ones in him because he portrayed it so honestly. With the well-known line "Carpe Diem," his portrayal of Mr. Keating in Dead Poets Society had a profound effect on a generation. He urged pupils to take use of every moment and discover their own voices. That remark is still used today, frequently as a reminder of bravery and purpose at pivotal moments in life. His reassuring parts in Patch Adams and Good Will Hunting, where he contributed compassion, insight, and emotional nuance, are also recalled by fans. He had a special talent for making people laugh and feel profoundly understood by fusing comedy with humanity. Fans still honor his work years after he passed away. His memory is preserved through movie marathons, fan art, and online tributes. Robin Williams is more than just a comic to many people. They recall him as a teacher, a friend, and a beacon of hope in the dark. His laughter endures. What do you think of Sally Field's description of Robin Williams, their relationship, his generosity, and the suffering he suffered in silence? Your thoughts would be greatly appreciated.